Descriptive research is a method that describes the characteristic of the population or phenomenon studied. This method focuses more on the what of the research subject than the why of the research subject. Descriptive research method primarily focuses on describing the nature of a demographic segment, without focusing on why a particular phenomenon occurs. In other words, it describes the subject of the research without covering why it happens. It can either be quantitative or qualitative. It can involve collections of quantitative information that can be tabulated along a continuum in numerical form, such as scores on a test or the number of times a person chooses to use a certain feature of a multimedia program. Or it can describe categories of information such as gender or patterns of interaction when using technology in a certain group situation. According to Glass and Hopkins in 1984, descriptive research involves gathering data that describe events and then organizes, tabulates, depicts, and describes the data collection. It often uses visual aids such as graphics and charts to aid the reader in understanding the data distribution. Because the human mind cannot extract the full import of a large mass of a raw data, descriptive statistics are very important in reducing the data to a manageable form. When in depth, narrative description of small numbers of cases are involved. The research uses description as a tool to organize data into patterns that emerge during analysis. Those patterns aid the mind in comprehending a qualitative study and its implications. Finally, descriptive research reports summary data such as measures of central tendency, including the mean, median, mode, difference from the mean, variation, percentage, and correlation between variables. There are two major types of descriptive research, qualitative and quantitative. The qualitative type is the process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting non-numerical data, such as language. It can be used to understand how an individual subjectively perceives and gives meaning to his or her social reality. On the other hand, quantitative is referred to as the process of collecting as well as analyzing numerical data. It is generally used to find patterns, averages, predictions, as well as cause-effect relationships between the variables being studied. Characteristics of descriptive research. The term descriptive research then refers to research questions, design of the study, and data analysis conducted on that topic. We call it an observational research method because none of the research study variables are influenced in any capacity. First, quantitative research. Descriptive research is a quantitative research method that attempts to collect quantifiable information for statistical analysis of the population sample. It is a popular market research tool that allows us to collect and describe the demographic segment's nature. Secondly, uncontrolled variables. In descriptive research, none of the variables are influenced in any way. This uses observational methods to conduct the research. Hence, the nature of the variables or their behavior is not in the hands of the researcher. Third, cross-sectional studies. Descriptive research is generally a cross-sectional study where different sections belong to the same group are studied. And the last characteristic, the basis for further research. Researchers further research the data collected and analyzed from descriptive research using different research techniques. The data can also help point towards the types of research methods used for the subsequent research. Applications of descriptive research. A descriptive research method can be used in multiple ways and for various reasons. If we're getting into any survey, the survey goals and survey design are crucial. Despite following these steps, there is no way to know if one will meet the research outcome. How to use descriptive research? To understand the end objective of research goals, here are some ways organizations currently use descriptive research today. The first application is to define respondents' characteristics. The aim of using closed-ended questions is to draw concrete conclusions about the respondents. This could be the need to derive patterns, traits, and behaviors of the respondents. It could also be to understand from a respondent their attitude or opinion about the phenomenon. For example, understanding from millennials the hours per week they spent on browsing the internet. All this information helps the organization researching to make informed business decisions. Also, to measure data trends. Researchers measure data trends over time with a descriptive research design statistical capabilities. Consider if an apparel company researches different demographics like age groups from 24 to 35 and 35 to 45 on a new range launch of autumn wear. If one of those groups doesn't take too well to the new launch, it provides insight into what clothes are like and what is not. In the end, the brand drops the clothes and apparel that customers don't like. Third is to conduct comparisons. Organizations also use a descriptive research design to understand how different groups respond to a specific product or service. For instance, an apparel brand creates a survey asking general questions that measure the brand's image. The same study also asks demographic questions like age, income, gender, geographical location, etc. This consumer research helps the organization understand what aspects of the brand appeal to the population and what aspects do not. It also helps make product or marketing fixes or even create a new product line to cater to high growth potential groups. The fourth application is to validate existing conditions. Researchers widely use descriptive research to help ascertain the research object's prevailing conditions and underlying patterns. Due to the non-invasive research method and the use of quantitative observation and some aspects of qualitative observation, researchers observe each variable and conduct an in-depth analysis. Researchers also use it to validate any existing conditions that may be prevalent in a population. Finally, descriptive research is used to conduct research at different times. The analysis can be conducted at different periods to ascertain any similarities or differences. This also allows any number of variables to be evaluated. For verification, studies on prevailing conditions can also be repeated to draw trends. Descriptive research methods. There are three distinctive methods to conduct descriptive research, and they are: firstly, observational method. This is the most effective method to conduct this research, and the researchers make use of both qualitative and quantitative observations. A quantitative observation is the objective collection of data, which is primarily focused on numbers and values. It suggests associated with, of, or depicted in terms of a quantity. Results of quantitative observation are derived using statistical and numerical analysis methods. It implies observation of any entity associated with a numeric value, such as age, shape, weight, volume, scale, etc. For example, the researcher can track if current customers will refer the brand using a simple Net Promoter Score question. Qualitative observation doesn't involve measurements or numbers, but instead just monitoring characteristics. In this case, the researcher observes the respondents from a distance. Since the respondents are in a comfortable environment, the characteristics observed are natural and effective. In a descriptive research design, the researcher can choose to be either a complete observer or an observer as a participant as an observer, or a full participant. Say, in a supermarket, a researcher can from afar monitor and track the customer's selection and purchasing trends. This offers a more in-depth insight into the purchasing experience of the customer. Then ultimately, case study method. Case studies involve in-depth research and study of individuals or groups. Case studies lead to a hypothesis and widen a further scope of studying a phenomenon. However, case studies should not be used to determine cause and effect, as they can't make accurate predictions because there could be a bias on the researcher's part. The reason that case studies are not a reliable way of conducting descriptive research is that there could be a typical respondent in the survey. Describing them leads to weak generalization and moving away from the external validity. Ultimately, survey research. In survey research, respondents answer through surveys or questionnaires or polls. They are a popular market research tool to collect feedback from respondents. A study to gather useful data should have the right survey questions. It should be a balanced mix of open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. The survey method can be conducted online or offline, making it the go-to option for descriptive research where the sample size is enormous. Now, we proceed to the advantages of descriptive research. Descriptive research offers diverse data collection method, as it can be carried out using specific data collection methods such as observation, case studies, and surveys. It also provides thorough information. Since the data collected is qualitative and quantitative, it gives a holistic understanding of a research topic. Third, descriptive research can provide high-quality data, as it allows the research to be conducted in the respondent's natural environment, ensuring that honest, high-quality data is collected. The fourth boon is it is quick to perform and cheap. As the sample size is generally large in descriptive research, the data collection is quick to conduct and is inexpensive. Finally, descriptive research forms the basis for decision-making. The data collected is robust and represents a larger population, which makes it easier to analyze and use for decision-making. However, at the end of the polarity, it cannot be denied that descriptive research also has its disadvantages. The first one is, descriptive studies cannot test or verify the research problem statistically. Also, research results may reflect certain level of bias due to the absence of statistical tests. And the majority of descriptive studies are not repeatable due to their observational nature. Here are some examples of descriptive research. For qualitative, we have the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the mental health and well-being of communities, an exploratory qualitative study protocol, and the challenges and opportunities from the COVID-19 pandemic and medical education, a qualitative study. For quantitative, we have the digital inequality during a pandemic, quantitative study of differences in COVID-19 related internet uses and outcomes among the general population, together with the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on medical students, a multi-center quantitative study. As a denouement, descriptive research is used to describe characteristics of a population or phenomenon being studied. It does not answer the questions about how, when, or why the characteristics occurred. Rather, it addresses the what question, such as what are the characteristics of Minnesota's state population or situation being studied. The characteristics used to describe the situation or population are usually some kind of categorical scheme, also known as descriptive categories. For instance, the periodic table categorizes the elements. Scientists use knowledge about the nature of electrons, protons, and neutrons to devise this categorical scheme. We now take for granted the periodic table, yet it took descriptive research to devise it. Descriptive research generally precedes explanatory research. For example, over a period of time, the periodic table's description of the elements allowed scientists to explain chemical reaction and to make sound prediction when elements were combined. However, descriptive research cannot describe what caused a situation. Thus, descriptive research cannot be used as the basis for a causal relationship, where one variable affects another. In other words, descriptive research can be said to have a low requirement for internal validity. As a whole, the description is used for frequencies, averages, and other statistical calculations. Often, the best approach prior to writing descriptive research is to conduct a survey investigation. Qualitative research often has the aim of description, and researchers may follow up with examinations of why the observations exist and what the implications of the findings are.